How did you know?
You thought that you would leave this palace without me having my mages scrying your every step, my son?
Scrying? Of course.
Wait, your son?
I'm sorry. I was about to tell you this, but that doesn't change a thing. Enough with this, Vilmos. We got the contract, and we know the truth. Soon the whole kingdom will know.
And how exactly will they know? I don't see any way for you three to escape this room. Alive, at least.
I'll make damn sure they know that the king sacrifices each one of them just to keep the crown on his head.
Silence! You insolent child, you dare give me a lecture? You're a disgrace. You will suffer for that. And you too? Do you share the same ideas with him? I would be very careful with this answer. As if my life depended on it.
The spirits of this land, they mourn for the imbalance brought upon them. Eldoria's prosperity shouldn't come at the cost of innocence. Decisions made in the name of the greater good should not corrupt the essence of life itself. True leadership is about guiding with wisdom and respect for life, not at the cost of it.
A druid, one who roams the woods and whispers to the trees. What could such a wandering spirit know of the burdens I bear? You live in your natural paradise, sheltered from the realities of governance, ignorant to the sacrifices required to sustain a kingdom. You think your communion with nature grants you wisdom? You are but an outsider, preaching about balance and harmony, blind to the complexities of ruling a realm.
We, druids, feel the pulse of nature, the connection of all living things. Your decisions have injured these connections, causing disharmony in the threads that bind us all. To bring true prosperity to Eldoria, it must arise from a foundation of respect for life, for the sanctity of every soul that calls this land home. Your sacrifices are in the wrong.
Sacrifices must be made for the greater good. You fail to understand the weight that rests upon a king's shoulders. When the city lay in ruins after the war, when starvation haunted our streets, I made a choice no one else would dare to make. I offered 10 souls a year to ensure prosperity for our many. You see, it was never about maintaining power or wealth. It was about rebuilding a shattered city, about bringing hope back to our people. I sacrificed my own king, my own blood in pursuit of this peace. I made choices that haunt me every night, but I made them for Eldoria.
Was it really for Eldoria, or just yourself?
You dare to confront me in my own court? A mere bard prancing about, hoping for a moment's attention, a passing glimpse in the world of importance. Your aspirations are as shallow as your understanding of what it takes to rule. Tell me, bard, how many kingdoms have you managed to save with your songs? How many lives have you truly changed, apart from your own self-serving fantasies? You've danced your way into a place where you don't belong. A minstrel hoping for applause in a world that demands more than empty walls and hollow tunes.
King Vilmos, you mistake the power of art and narrative for weakness. A bard's song isn't merely a fleeting melody. It's the echo of the struggles, hopes, and triumphs of those whose voices are often silenced. I've seen the weight of oppression, felt the sting of chains on my wrists, and emerged to give voice to the voiceless. You belittled the impact of storytelling, dismissing the freedom I've already brought to places shrouded in darkness. I may not wear a crown, but I've sparked flames of rebellion with a single verse. I've ignited hope where despair held sway. Your court may laugh at the sound of a lute, but they trample at the resonance of truth within my tales.
I made a choice that no one else dared to make. Eldoria was at the brink of annihilation. Its people starved. Its streets wept with the cries of the desperate. I could not allow my kingdom to crumble into dust. Sacrifices had to be made. Sacrifices no one else would have the fortitude to bear. My brother, my daughter, innocent souls. Do you think it was easy? Do you believe for one moment that I wanted this burden? That I didn't shed 1,000 tears for each soul taken? I traded their lives for the prosperity of thousands.
You've hidden behind the guise of necessity, but you've robbed them of their freedom to choose. I know what it's like when others take your life's reins. I've been a slave. I felt the shackles of others' decisions tightening around me. You dare say you've done it all for them? Yet you're just an oppressor, hiding behind false intentions. The people you sacrifice each year, they're your people too. You've become comfortable in the narrative you've created. But the truth is, it's built on lies and hypocrisy.
My people are free, free of the burden of guilt, of hunger, of fear, of poverty, of uncertainty. I gave them that.
Freedom is more than just physical chains. It's about choice, about life lived with integrity.
Lovette, if we unmask the truth, chaos will ravage Eldoria. By allowing this deceit to continue, knowing the price paid by the innocents, it weighs heavy on the soul, and not what we need to choose. Do you?
We choose what's right. We choose to fight for the people who aren't here to defend themselves. King Vilmus, you speak of sacrifice, but you have lost sight of what it truly means to rule with honor. We will reveal the truth, even if it shakes this kingdom to its core. The people deserve to know the price you have been paying with their lives.
So be it. Kill them!
This is for Eldoria, for the people you've wronged, for the sacrifices you forced upon them. I loved you, Dad. I still do, but I won't let this sacrifice continue. Forgive me, Father. It ends here.
My son, you...
This tyrant King Vilmus, sacrificing people, and to even imagine we volunteered for this. I feel so stupid.
What about Eldoria now? What if we go back to poverty and famine? Maybe he wasn't that wrong.
I've lost my child! My child! All this time I thought he was somewhere in the palace alive and, well, having the life that I didn't manage to give him. And instead...
I hope the new king will bring prosperity to the city without more sacrifices. Let's drink on this. To a life with no more sacrifices. To our new king!
People seem troubled, but I don't regret our decision.
They'll move on. All of us will.
And what about now, new king? How does it feel that you always need to be undercover to get a beer in silence?
Nothing's changed, I guess. Thanks, both of you. I'll try to do the best I can for the city and its people. Sorry I dragged you into this mess.
Don't say that. Please. Whatever we did, it was for the greater good.
I'll make sure of it. So, what about you two? Will you stay? There are a few extra rooms in the palace for you.
Well, we need to go. We need to find the wizard we're looking for so he can send us back home.
Home?
Let's say we're not from this place.
And you, Lovette, do you have someone special who waits for you?
Well, I do. At least I hope so.
Who wouldn't? Well, Whenever you pass from Eldoria, you will always have a room to be spared.
Thanks, Darian.
Excuse me, miss! Could you please sing that song again? The one about the city that was freed from the evil demon!
Your fans await you.
Only if you dance with me, Mrs.
Was he really a slave?
She doesn't talk a lot about her past, but yeah, she was.
And at the same time, away from her loved ones. She smiles a lot for a person who has lived that much.
Well, she's very strong.
Or maybe she pretends to be.
Pretends.
Welcome again to another episode of the DnD podcast.
Today's session is all about the cozy vibes, so grab your favorite warm drink, a soft blankie, tuck yourself in bed, and get comfy because we're diving into a treasure trove of epic tales from our journeys with our beloved characters.
Get ready to be swept away by a variety of stories that either have you fired up and eager to embark on your next D&D campaign, or cozy and relaxed, perhaps even lulled into a peaceful slumber. It's all about those unforgettable moments that make our adventures in this fantastical world so incredibly captivating. So buckle up for a roller coaster of emotions and thrilling narratives. We'll try to make it as lyrical as possible. So let's begin with the basics. Val, each of us have to share one epic moment we have experienced in a D&D campaign. Why don't you take the initiative?
Hey, I think I'm going to put my storytelling voice now.
Drama music behind.
So this story will either make everyone weep and feel sorry for me, or cry their balls out and get inspired to go and write a dramatic backstory for their next character. Entering a sadness and drama only zone here. Are you ready?
I am ready for this. Let's cry our balls out.
So as you already know, Sionnach lost everything because of the spell plague. The ordered structures of magic were falling into chaos after the assassination of Mystra. Both the Weave and the Shadow Weave collapsed. The blue flames destroyed every piece of fertile earth. Sionnach and her companions were in the middle of a fight deep in the high forest. One of them was actually burned alive right next to her. But Sionnach couldn't see anything else apart from the reflection of her burnt tree in the flames. She couldn't move. She couldn't breathe. She let the blue flames violently kiss her rigid skin. She was covered in flames. May tried to help her, but she almost got injured in the process. She wouldn't leave. She let the pain conquer her whole existence. Mine too. She felt her parents' eyes looking back at her through this fire. She heard the screams of the trees, echoing like a cacophony, like an evil laughter. Talona had a part in this, she knew it. Or maybe she was starting to lose it. She touched her burnt hair and felt a hazelnut hidden in the foliage of her hair. That's where she used to hide them before she was giving them to everyone so they can heal. She stepped out of the fire and fell to her knees. She planted the hazelnut right where her old tree was before it got burned, and casted plant growth for 8 hours. And then without resting, she casted it for another 8 hours straight. She wanted to make sure her new tree would survive this, and she got a level of exhaustion for this, but she actually made it. One thing our DM at the time didn't remember was that when you kill a dryas tree, she becomes insane and dies from sadness. All this happened so organically that no one really remembered this, to be honest, not even me. But since he was a half-dryad, he decided to improvise. So he found a solution right on the spot to fix all this. Kinda. To this day, and until my last day probably, I will never find a turn of events of a story so traumatizing, but at the same time so beautifully broken, an actual masterpiece. The DM gave her a disease, a blight, a condition that made her empty and hollow inside. Most of her skin was burnt and black. But every time she felt something, every time someone made her feel human again in a way, part of her skin was slowly healing, going back to its natural state. So her new quest was to become human again, or whatever race it was in the beginning. And I really don't think I'll ever forget the pain and joy I felt for this character's story.
You know, plant growth is such an amazing spell, and so cinematic by itself. You can build your entire character with just the spell, nothing more. And I think I'm going to say a story which relates to Sionnach, actually. And it is about Oliver, my little Olin paladin of the ancients. Alongside his party, who ventured into a cursed land, the place was suffering, plants withering, people decaying due to a lurking kraken whispering curses to all life. It took a difficult battle, and unfortunately, Aris's character, Gunbert, fell in the process. But they succeeded. They defeated the kraken, freeing the city from its corruption. However, the curse's aftermath lingered and the decay persisted. That's when Oliver, carrying Gunbert's body, took it to a sacred spot in the forest, casting plant growth for a solid 8 hours. And when the spell ended, a swarm of pink and purple butterflies, a blessing from Oliver's goddess Tafiti, enveloped Gunbert's resting place before fluttering away. The land transformed, bursting with life, allowing people to restart, honoring nature's protection. And from the spot where Gunbert was laid to rest, the most magnificent tree sprouted. It became a symbol, a testament to the memory of their fallen friends. Oliver and the crew set sail for the next adventure, heading to the sea, and that colossal tree, it stood tall, a sentinel eagerly awaiting their return. God, I love D&D.
I really love this. It makes me so emotional. It's actually mind-blowing how creative you can become when you're grieving or you're in a moment of distress. Like the way you become one with your character's emotions and you express them in such a creative way. It's just amazing.
Indeed.
It's magic. It's D&D. Let's move to the next question, though. Can you describe any of your character's actions that had a profound impact on the campaign storyline?
So, Lovette's journey began in the humblest of settings. A no-name bard performing in small taverns, her songs echoing to only a handful of ears. Yet, these modest beginnings sparked connections with souls who ignited her. As her melodies danced into the hearts of audiences, Lovette ascended to prominence, crafting her own concerts. Her compositions spoke of freedom, love, power, and dreams, themes that resonated deeply. But it wasn't merely the stage she craved, it was a purpose. When she and her companions vanquished a malevolent hag, liberating a city once held in the clutches of oppression, her victory song reverberated through the souls of the downtrodden. This anthem of liberty kindled hope among those stifled by tyranny. Her aim wasn't just to bask into the spotlight, although a bit of attention didn't hurt for someone battling with self-doubt. Primarily, she longed for her melodies to traverse lands and reach the ears of Britannia, her hometown. Her people needed to know she hadn't faded into oblivion, but instead grew stronger, all the while plotting to return and restore the freedom. And not only Lovette, but her friend, Meldir, our crafty rogue, started a business all about transportation. It began small, but got bigger each time we played. Eventually, he had lots of caravans and boats, making it easy for us to travel, lucky us. This business made money without us doing much, so we had more cash for better gear. Plus, he became a sponsor for my concerts. We helped each other out a ton. He got famous in business, and I aimed to be a famous singer. So working together was a blast. Over time, it turned into a solid partnership that helped both of us in ways we didn't expect.
It sounds so epic, and I'm extremely gutted I haven't experienced this feeling before, at least up until now. It is really difficult for your character to have a profound impact on a story when it's not a homebrew story, basically. Or it just depends on the DM, I guess. I do know that I felt special by my DMs. Personally, many times while playing D&D. I don't want anyone to get upset with me or anything. But really, none of my characters felt like they're changing the world the same way that Lovette did, basically. It always felt like they're just interacting with it, but they're just following a natural path that is already pre-decided for them. That's totally okay with me in a way. I do respect the storytelling aspect of the game, especially when you have a pre-made story you're dealing with. It's really hard to change it, but I do feel like you have to be extremely lucky to be a part of a homebrew campaign like this with a DM who's waving his wand every time he's narrating the story to you. And you were lucky enough to experience that, Zephy. So congrats. Really? Congrats.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm truly blessed that I have lived through this campaign. And you make an impact as a player, not only when it's the final battle and you've reached, 15 level or 20 level. You still have an impact to this world even when you're 6th level. Okay, you're not that famous, you're not that strong, but come on, you did something. You have spells that they bring change.
Well, you do. It's just basically changing the whole concept and just creating a world that you are part of. It's just so difficult to achieve when you have a pre-made campaign, basically.
Yeah.
So there's not enough things to do to become part of the world, whatever you do. But it is just amazing to see it happening in front of your eyes, and I'm glad you did, and I hope I will as well at some point.
Well, maybe you will. You never know.
We'll see. I wanted to know though, have you ever successfully pulled off a risky or seemingly impossible maneuver in a battle or a quest?
Whenever I hear the word battle. So, let me tell you about the incredible Dorothy Heavenstrike.
I love her.
My human Eldritch Knight fighter. So, she was my tank, all about taking hits and keeping on standing. I made it my mission to get her armor class as high as possible. By the time she was level 8 or something, she was decked out in good gear and magic stuff, making her armor class a whopping 24. With a spell shield, it went up to 29.
Oh my goodness.
Later on, it grew even more. She charged into battles like a storm, fearless and ready. So once in Brinsander, she faced off against frost giants attacking the city. And picture this, 3 giants circling around her. She unleashed a thunder wave to push them back, used Misty Step to move around, and her shield, the spell, it kept her protected. Archers came to help her too, and it was intense, but she survived and she won the fight, and covered in blood, she yelled that today they'd celebrate with wine in giant skulls. And later, she even took bone parts from them to make a cup of their bones. She was tough, she was fierce, she absolutely despised giants. Oh God, I got excited again. I miss her so much, to be honest.
I miss her too.
Yeah, she was so awesome. And she was one of the few characters that had lived and seen the end of a campaign. That doesn't always happen.
Definitely doesn't happen. Oh, I love Dorothy so much. And I love the way that you did her accent as well. It was so good. Because obviously it was in Greek, but it was French accent. So that's even more like amazing to achieve.
I've tried my best.
I think it's better in English.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Well, now that you talked about Dorothy, I'm going to talk about Storm King Sander.
Okay.
It was literally a masterpiece, and I'm heartbroken. My baby Bree didn't make it to see the end of it.
We're talking about Bree now?
Yeah. There was a time.
I'm so
She was known as Brianna the Dragon Slayer.
And you haven't listened anything yet.
No. She was my first ever ranger. I think my first ever character who didn't use magic as much.
Indeed.
That battle in Bryn Sander was a roller coaster of emotions. We had a friend of ours. His character was Marcus Ebonhawk, and he was leading the army of our soldiers against the Silver Dragon and the Storm Giants. He inspired everyone to fight with all the strength they had left in them. I think he had the feat as well, inspiring leader, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he did.
Yeah, and he said for Breen Sander, and everyone was doubting Bree, distrusting her, and even were afraid of her just because he had the Werebear curse. They thought that she would just lose control and eat them in their sleep. But Brianna was tough and feisty, and she wanted to fight. She wanted to prove everyone wrong. So she used her longbow on the dragon again and again and again and again, never missing a hit. So many natural 20s that day as well. I don't know how I did this.
I don't know. You had the lucky feet as well.
I know. I didn't have the lucky feet. That's the thing.
As well, not as Bree.
So she had an idea, basically. She was close to a trebuchet, and the DM said that she was the only one proficient to use it. So she did use it.
And how did this go?
Oh, it went great. The dragon died. His corpse covered the whole courtyard of Bryn Sandra's fortress. Bree became a hero that day, and I want to thank the Academy Sharpshooter for this award. But Brianna's dice set is actually my lucky set after that session.
She was amazing. She was great. And it was so epic when this happened.
I know, the whole battle was so epic.
It was amazing because Ebonhawk was riding the dragon, and Bree killed him. So it was epic. It
was bittersweet in a way, but
it was bittersweet, but it was epic. One of us was riding a dragon and the other one just killed him, and you were like, okay, what are we doing now? Who are we?
No.
We are gods.
We're gods. Since we're talking about epicness, I want to hear about an epic battle or encounter that challenged your party in a unique or memorable way next.
So buckle up, you guys. This story is about Lovette. So we marched into Eltree, a city in the woods ensnared by this evil hag and a nymph who was obsessed with Meldir, Lovette's friend. So Meldir and the nymph had an affair back in the days. He left her and she kind of went mad. And our plan was simple: take down the hag who was corrupting the woods and deal with the nymph once and for all. But nothing prepared us for the showdown that followed. And after many hours of fighting, the hag, and while she was hurt, she got away and vanished. Then comes round 2. The nymph transformed into this colossal twisted tree with a huge red eye on it, surrounded by illusions of Meldir. It was a chaos. She has casted Wish. Hello, darkness, my old friend. With her last breath. Come on. So Lovette, Drake, the barbarian, and Meldir's brother, and Exceed, the monk of the party, and Lovette's romantic interest, were in the thick of it. Lovette was barely clinging to consciousness. Seriously, another hit and she was dead. So, with her last power she had, she spilled her heart to Exceed, pouring out feelings she'd kept hidden. I won't go into more details on this because this is not the subject. Long story short, he grabbed her and ran away from the battle. Meldir was kidnapped, and Drake was trying to follow us too, but monks, they are unreachable. Drake fell into the ground, and Exceed, while he was trying to get back to us, he fell. So Exceed, driven by courage, tried to rejoin the fray, but ended up stunned and helpless, leaving Lovette grappling with desperation. She struggled to pull them both out of the chaos, but it felt like swimming against the tide. I honestly don't remember how. I was so in shock with the scene that I barely remember any abilities or spells. I just remember scenes. So then comes the part where Lovette brought Drake back with Ray's dead. We have discussed this in the previous episode, but it was such an epic fight, you guys. I haven't described even the half of the things that happened that day. That battle was a story that gripped us all with shock and emotions that lingered long after the fight ended.
I love chaotic sessions like that.
It was chaotic.
And especially when you don't remember all the details, it means that they were great. Because obviously you were just in the zone, you were in it, you were living it. So it's just so hard to remember everything when you're just stressed.
Yeah, I just remember scenes and colors, the color of red, nothing more.
Well, when it comes to my characters and epic battles that they were challenging, I'm sure that there are many, many of them that I was a part of. I cannot recall them all because I get really stressed and panic and I don't remember things. I do remember one of them earlier this year. I went and watched the Dungeons and Dragons film and I wanted to play Barbarian so badly after I saw Holga. I loved her so much. So we started playing Curse of Strahd. And I went and made a half-orc barbarian. Her name was Ronan. May she rest in peace.
Okay.
It was so fun playing a low wisdom, low intelligence character for the first time in forever. Keep that in mind, the low wisdom. Her best friend was a cleric that saved her life in their backstory. Her name was Althea. And Ronan literally was her bodyguard. Like, picture now. Level 2 in the Death House. Spoiler alert for the people who haven't played Curse of Strahd.
How bad could this be?
No, it was fine. It was great. But during that ceremony at the end, And the whole, sacrifice must be made. One must die,
Oh
blah,
my
blah, blah.
PTSD.
Everyone was actually losing it. There was a dagger there and a baby there, and half of the team wanted to kill the baby. The other half didn't want to kill the baby. People started attacking each other. It was wild. We had ghouls attacking us at some point too. Ronan was so loyal to Althea. She stayed and fought all of them, all the ghouls, took the dagger and tried to stab herself while she screamed for Althea because she wanted to sacrifice herself to make sure Althea would be saved.
Aww.
But
Who's the party pooper on this?
The rogue of the party. Yeah, he wanted to be really good, chaotic good, I would say. So he was faster than Ronan, obviously. He stole the dagger from me, stabbed himself first, and sacrificed himself. So we escaped that house.
He wanted the spotlight.
I know. But the thing is, none of this would have happened if people would just went and killed that stupid evil baby. Because it wasn't a real baby.
It was a baby.
I know, but it wasn't a real baby. It was evil.
So evil babies are not babies?
Well, don't know. I didn't write the story, but the baby was evil and it had to be killed. Not us. But we were trying to be nice, I guess. Anyway, the thing is, Ronan did sacrifice herself for Althea in the end. But it was against the beholder a few sessions later. So there you go.
So I think it was her destiny.
It was.
To sacrifice herself. Okay, that's interesting. So I was wondering though, have you ever faced a moral dilemma in the game that left a lasting impact on your character?
Oh, many times, I think.
Story of my life.
But the thing is, every time I talk about Brianna, because I'm going to talk about Brianna now.
I'm ready.
I feel an adrenaline rush, you know? So it was a really special character for me. My stepping out of a toxic situation, leaving everything behind, badass, independent, strong-willed, hot-headed kind of girl who can lose control in approximately 0.5 seconds.
Just a second. So I remember me and Val talking about Brianna, and she was like, before Brianna, it was Sionnach, okay? And Sionnach had a romance in our campaign. You'll learn more about this, actually.
Soon.
No pun intended.
Soon. S-U-N-E. Soon.
So I remember talking to her, and she was like, I won't romance anyone in this campaign. Brianna is a strong, independent woman. She doesn't need a man. She can do it all by herself. And she's going to be single for the rest of the campaign. Well, she stayed true to her words, guys.
Yeah, I did. And it was hard.
Yeah, because we had such cool characters in this campaign.
Yeah, but I stayed true to my...
Yeah, to your oath.
My promise. Yeah, to my oath.
Stay single oath.
That's the best way to go. Otherwise, you're just going to end up sad with loads of regrets for the rest of your life.
She was passing her, I'm an independent woman phase,
Exactly.
You were in that zone at that time.
I was. And I'm glad I did. And since we decided with my DM at the time to use a werebear class, so she was multi-classing a ranger and a werebear class as part of her curse, I made a deal with him to keep rolling a d20 and adding my wisdom modifier every day for 5 days before a full moon to see if I will be able to control her.
Yeah.
At first it went well. But the DC was extremely high on the day of the full moon, obviously. So one night, on a full moon, of course, even though I rolled pretty high, I think I rolled 19. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But it wasn't enough to meet the 23 DC.
Yeah.
So he asked me if I would prefer to attack my friends and try to eat them or let him take over my character. So I felt so bad and I didn't know what to do. I panicked, so I gave him control over my character sheet.
And that's, well, pretty bad.
Yeah. He almost killed Echo with her, our squishy wizard. And after that incident, she started hating herself more and more every day. She couldn't forgive herself. She couldn't trust herself either, nor could her friends. So there was like an internal battle in her, I think. And it felt like she was depressed in a way at some point. From being so confident and strong-willed, she became terrified to be around anyone, like she had social anxiety or something. So she spent most nights hiding in the forest, sleeping far away from her friends, just to make sure she wouldn't hurt them. So she always felt like she needed to get away from them and leave so they could be safe. Those were like tough times for her and for me too, because I did feel like maybe she should have left the party after what happened, but I wasn't strong enough to do it.
Well, I remember those sessions. Brianna was in the same party as Dorothy, and Dorothy had a specific mission, and she was so determined to achieve it that she didn't want any uncertainty to her plan. So Bree's curse, at first, was kind of a threat to her. But later on, when she saw her good heart and how much she was trying to help each one of them while she was struggling with her curse too, she accepted her.
I'm glad she did, but I want to hear about your dilemmas and your tough times.
My dilemmas. I think I have one scene. I don't know if it was a moral dilemma, but it was a hard choice to make. Back to Dorothy, we have come to an end of the campaign. It was me, Dorothy, Hippocrates, the healer, Zalathir, the warlock rogue actually, and Talion, the warlock. We typically had Echo too, a big part of Sionnach's story. He is a divination wizard, but that day he couldn't play. Anyway, ADHD. We saved the king of the giants, Hecaton, and we were taking him back home so the balance can come again in the world. But Talion betrayed the party. He joined forces with the Kraken, which was secretly whispering to Talion all this time, and finally it persuaded him to betray us and kill Hecaton. So he tried to kill him, and he also tried to resonate with us to make us follow him, to get rid of the giants because they have caused chaos, etc. So we had to make a choice, and the choice was made, and we came up against our friend. So typically the BBG in the end was our fellow player and the Kraken. So that was awesome and heartbreaking at the same time. We barely managed to win and make it out alive. He sold his friends for power. But, it was a tough decision to be made. Apart from that, Val, I want you to describe a moment of triumph or success that your party achieved against all odds.
Oh, okay. Yes. Willow will always be the winner when it comes to this. She's a wee champion of our hearts.
She is.
One of my favorite OP moments of our party, though, was our last battle together. We had to fight an acid dragon. I'm not sure, but I think it was an acid dragon. And some other creatures that I don't remember what they were. I was just feral that day. I was literally feral that day. Everyone was saying that. What is happening to Val? Hear me out. Willow casted Conjure Animals, okay? And brought 4 black bears. She used her symbiotic entity ability to gain more HP and started tanking somehow because we didn't have any tanks at the party. So I was tanking the halfling.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it worked well. The bears managed to wipe everyone on the board and obviously died in the process. Mm-hmm. But they actually helped so much. So everyone was trying to focus on the dragon with damage. And he kept spitting acid on us. So it was hard to stay up, but we all managed somehow. So at some point, Willow decided to do something stupid in a way. She really wanted to climb the dragon.
Okay, that's epic.
Yeah, it was going to be epic if it worked. That's the thing. So she tried the first time to use Earthbind to keep the dragon close to her. It didn't work, and then she was expecting to do it another time. She managed to do the second time, and I think that's how it worked. But before she climbed on the dragon, she turned into a bear. Okay. And our sorcerer thought of something really inspiring. He casted dragon breath on her as a bear. It was epic. We actually did it.
How?
I don't remember who gave the last hit, but I do remember a wee willow bear climbing on a dragon and biting him and clawing him and unleashing her dragon breath on him too. And we somehow did it. So I think maybe I should just change my name to Val the Dragon Slayer after all the dragons my characters have. helped.
Well, I think you have the right to do it, to be honest. After all this, dragons fear you.
Dragons fear me. I love dragons, though.
Me too. I want to ride them.
Well, what about you, Zephy?
Okay, let's dive into another campaign. This time, we will talk about Mira. She was a stars druid water genasi, something like a water nymph. She was the daughter of god Poseidon. We were playing a campaign inspired by Theros, Greek mythology at its best. So Mira and her party, in the end, got to fight Poseidon because he was a jackass, to be honest. And when the world needed him the most, because a huge kraken was taking all the cities one by one, he didn't even care and used us to deal with it. And once we did, and some people of the party died, he took all the credits. So Aris' character made a deal with the dark forces, and he could kill a god with an action. So he was pretty pissed, and he killed Poseidon, and the only thing that remained of him was his trident. Mira took the fate into her hands, because Mira means fate, and it's amazing, and grabbed the trident. She then became the goddess of the sea, the goddess of the explorers. It was so epic and so cool. She could hear the prayers of her believers, and she became a true god later on in the world that our DM Spirus created, the one who gave the voice to King Vilmos in the script. Spirus, if you are listening to this, you are the best. And yeah, you are the best.
Thank you.
Where was I? In his world, Mira is a goddess you can choose to believe in. And I mean, how cool is that?
That is absolutely amazing. And I would definitely choose Mira as my deity. She sounds awesome.
You would be her favorite princess.
Goddess favorite princess. But moving on, I'd like you to describe to us an epic fail moment for you and your party. A moment you didn't succeed, but it felt still amazing.
You, guys, who play D&D probably can relate with me on this. 3 words. Curse of Strahd. The darkest of campaigns I have ever played, and one of the most majestic ones. There were so many people that have passed through this campaign as temporary characters. We usually played from the evening till late night, and then we would go for a drink and we would talk about what happened and our thoughts on each session. These were the times. I have played Irina on this. The DM has decided to make her a PC so it would have more flavor. I have made her a cleric of light. She was literally the light of Barovia, but she didn't manage. In our last session, we were 10 people inside a room watching the story unfolding. 10 people. Not all of them were playing. The majority of them were just spectating. We went to the castle of Strahd, and that was the end. The party lost hope, and he killed them all except Irina, who was holding on to the light till her last breath. The ending scene was a hard pill to swallow. Strahd organized his wedding with her, and he said, "Look, I have invited your friends too." And there were all her friends cut and stitched to different bodies. It was a freak show that she fainted. And in a vision, she saw Sergei coming out from the light, giving her his hand. The light has acknowledged her actions, embraced her, and she wouldn't ever be reincarnated again to this world. So Strahd lost her forever. And to be honest, I loved this ending, actually. It was like it came straight out of a novel. And the depressing ending, it was majestic.
I do love depressing endings.
Yeah. We love depressing endings and heartbreaks and all these things that make you cry.
Yeah, of course. That was pretty dark, to be honest.
It was.
So I'm going to try to lighten up the mood a bit.
Please.
Or maybe not.
Please lighten up.
I have a really epic fail and funny moment to share.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope Kay is listening right now, because she needs to know that I'm still upset about this. Or at least Willow is. Let's fast forward to Willow again. That cute wee trouble of a child. Her and her bestie, her name was Vex. The warlock, remember that. And they decided to get a pet. So Willow was obsessed with this undead owl they found. So they bought the owl. She even named him Bonnie, the Bonnie owl, because Bonnie in Scots means pretty, and Bonnie because obviously he had bones only. He could actually speak common, and he was really cheeky and funny at the same time. And he said many times that he didn't like the fact that he was bought as a pet for a child. But Willow was living her best life. She was so happy she had a pet. So she was sleeping next to him, cuddling and playing with him. And then Vex remembered something really important, and a voice spoke in her head. Because her patron hated the undead.
Oh, we have a situation here.
Yeah. He asked her to kill Bonnie. Otherwise, he would end her life straight away instead. So Vex was really devastated because he had to tell Willow, an 11-year-old trouble, that Bonnie would need to go. So that session, when Willow found out, oh my god, she didn't want to speak to anyone, to Vex, ever again. The party tried to even lie to her and tell her that Bonnie had to go to a better place and he was going to be happier there. But she never really bought it. It was quite wise, to be honest. So she cried herself to sleep that night. But I was literally laughing so hard the whole session because I had to roleplay a child when you take their toy away from them.
A kid whose toy is taken away, the headache. But I love Willow. I love how childish she is and the fact that she has ADHD. I can totally relate.
I cannot.
Yeah. Anyway, so guys, this is it for today's session. And thank you, Val, for lighting up the whole discussion. It was great.
I miss Bonnie, the Bonnie.
Well,
Bonnie,
you know
Bonnie.
what? There are many other animals to love.
Have as a pet.
Maybe next time you can try something more alive.
I will try.
So we're excited to see what Sionnach and Lovette will be up to next. And maybe it's going to be more emotional.
We love that.
And we hope you are too. So don't forget to follow us on Instagram, because once we reach 200 followers, we will be ready to go ahead with our giveaway.
Ooh, can't wait.
Don't forget the giveaway. It's going to be amazing. So stay tuned. Take care. Until the next time, may all your rolls be a natural 20. Bye-bye.
Bye.